We are live.
All right, NFL Week 8 underway here, and it's a big game on Thursday Night Football. You want to tell us all about that one?
Um, week number 8. Looking at the games, first glance, we might have some better matchups. Last week, obviously, we didn't really have any good We had some close games that I thought, but it was as expected to be a few blowouts here and there. But hopefully, I would like this week instead of being a snooze fest.
All right, so it starts with a great game on Thursday Night Football with the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to go with the Packers. They are always a crazy team to be thinking about. I mean, I'm just kidding. I'm going with the Cardinals.
And
I don't know what I'm
Jared,
doing here.
Jared was almost drunk there for a second.
I'm going with the Cardinals. Kyler Murray is a great quarterback. They're undefeated. They're at home. And if this game were in Green Bay, I think it would have been possible for Devontae Adams to play. But because of the nature of them having to travel a day early, they'll be without Devontae Adams. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
I'm gonna go with the Cardinals too. Just the fact that both the receivers are out, Alan Lazard and Devontae Adams. Um, I don't know what they were doing, what they were thinking. They just said, "Let's get COVID," and that's a pretty big factor. We have not really had any big COVID cases yet until now, where two star Packer receivers are now out. So this will greatly affect Aaron Rodgers. We might have a repeat of Week 1 where I know they were all in, but it's going to be horrible for the Packers, and it's in Glendale. So we're going to go with
Yeah.
the
So you're
we're
going to the Cardinals, I take it.
yeah. I think it's just because if they were all healthy, I would pick the Packers because the Packers are a strong team. Packers don't really have a defense. The Cardinals are going to go 8-9.
All right. So let's move on to the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. I have this one. I'm going to go with the Falcons. Uh, the Panthers have been very weak. I don't know what happened. They started 3-0, and then since the McCaffrey injury, they've been 0-4.
I will agree with you, and I'll go with the Falcons as well. I think the Falcons are one of those teams that just on it. They're inconsistent, but I think they're getting a lot better. Kyle Pitts has really become a staple of their offense as of the last couple of weeks. I will go with the Falcons in that game. And let's move on to the next game, which is the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. That should be a good game. I'm going with the Titans in this one. The Colts they've been looking up and down every week. They had a great performance on Sunday Night Football. But quite frankly, I think the 49ers are not as good of a team as they have been in the past. I mean, the weather helped the Colts, in my opinion. So I'll be going with the Titans to beat the Colts. Jordan has the Titans as the number one team in the AFC right now. So that's what he says about them.
Yeah, since that Chiefs win, they're the competent AFC team. The NFC is stacked with the Cardinals, the Packers, the Bucks. I don't really like the Bills that much. I'm biased against the Bills, I'll admit that. But I think Titans are the number one team, and they can easily win against the Colts. The Colts are struggling this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, next game is Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Jordan will probably be picking the Buffalo Bills here.
Um, I am going to go with the Bills and Dolphins. Yeah, we're gonna go with the Bills,
All
and I
right,
think Jared will
uh,
go with the
I'll,
Bills
I'll
as well.
I'll go with the Bills as well. Dolphins. I didn't think they were going to lose to the Falcons, but they did last week. So I'll go with the Bills. I think currently the score is I think I'm +3 right now. Jordan had the Niners last week, and I had the Colts, and the Colts won. So All right, Cincinnati, New York Jets is my guarantee of the week. I'll be going with the Bengals. Jets, they beat the Titans. They beat the Goliath of them all, the Titans. But I think this young Joe Burrow, he'll get it done. It's usually these young stars. They don't have a problem when they're playing teams that suck. So I'll go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, I will go with the Bengals as well. The Jets suck. They just suck as a team in general. So I have to pick the
All right.
yeah. You know what I
The
mean.
next
Jets
you
suck.
pick the
Bengals.
Bengals. Jordan
The
has the Bengals. I have the
but I want
Bengals.
to
They've
quickly
all been.
talk about the Bengals though. In the right in the get-go, I thought they were gonna suck. They surprised me. They're the most surprising team, and I think I ranked them pretty high in my AFC poll. I don't remember, but yeah.
All right. The next game on the list is Pittsburgh and Cleveland. What's the word on Baker Mayfield?
I have no idea. Let's check our outside sources.
But
We'll have to call.
obviously, we know that Roethlisberger's getting a little older. He hasn't been the same dude that he's been in the years past, but he has had a couple good games this year. He beat the Bills, struggled against the Raiders. I forget the other team that they beat, but the Steelers. Oh, they beat the Seahawks on the Sunday night.
Yes.
Steelers have the opportunity to rebound. We'll see if they can.
Mayfield is lined up to play in this game.
Well, that's what I had heard last.
So, it's my pick, I think. Well, I'm gonna go with the
Yeah, I had the
Browns.
Bengals first.
I'm gonna go with the Browns for
I will
sure.
go with the Browns as well. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're an interesting kind of team. I don't know exactly how we're going to see the Steelers play in this game. I expect it to be a close game, a good finish, but I just see the team on top at the end being the Cleveland Browns. Their defense has been decent, so I think Roethlisberger will have have a couple tough drives today or Sunday, not today. See, you know you know what I'm saying. It's the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. I will be going with the Eagles. This game is a tough game to pick for me. I debated whether to pick each of these teams a lot, but I think after Jared Goff lost to the Rams, it was a game where they were very much in it, and they lost. I think they'll have a letdown week this week, sadly, for Lions fans. I think the Eagles also coach firing could occur if the Eagles do not win this game.
This is gonna be the most interesting thing I'll ever do in the series. I'll pick the Lions. For one thing, the Lions are not that bad. They are 0-7, but they have been so unlucky. The Ravens they should have beat. They could have beat the Rams. They could have beat so many teams. But they just end up losing because it's the Lions. The Lions have to win this game. This is a must-win game. If they don't win this, their coach will probably be, seeing the door. Might not. He might not. It's his first year as the Lions coach, but they could point at the door once they leave the stadium after the loss. Um, if the Eagles lose, Doug Peterson will stay in Detroit and maybe coach the Lions. Who knows? But yeah, I think this is a must pick for me since I'm down. I have picked some very very weird games.
Well,
Lost.
I know I know you won't have a different pick for the next game because the Los Angeles Rams and the Houston Texans.
Okay, so we're gonna put Jared and I down for the Rams. I think we can move on. But I want to hear your input on this game. How are the Texans 1-6?
Well, the Texans they had a good game week one against the Jaguars. They've had a couple of games where they've stuck in with teams, but I think it's gotten worse progressively each and every week for the Texans, and now it's just a matter of can they get the fourth quarter over with. And what I've seen uh, as of late is I think the Texans are going to have a real tough time against the Rams. Rams are a good team. I currently
So
had them at the number one in the NFC, but that could very much change this week.
I think Cooper Kupp will score more touchdowns than the Texans this game. I am pretty sure on that. The Rams have
That's
the
very
best offense
possible.
and defense in the league. Or consistently, they have the best team because defense and offense. Like Chiefs, for instance, they have one of the best offenses, but clearly their defense sucks. You know, we won't talk about
Yeah,
last
but
week.
I mean, Chiefs' offensive line's not as good as it used to be. But
Yeah.
all right, we'll move on to the 49ers and Bears, our last early game on the list. Uh, 49ers last week, a tough loss to the Colts. The Bears, what happened to the Bears? Like, did they show up? I don't think the Bears have arrived in Tampa yet. So, that was a tough loss for the Bears. I do think they'll play a lot better this week. They're at home. Justin Fields has played really well at home, but I'm going to go with the 49ers. This is a battle-hardened team, and they do have their starting quarterback, Jimmy G. So I think
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Niners over the Bears. The Bears are embarrassing. If the Bears lose this game, I think Matt Nagy will be fired. So
all right.
yeah, that's my input right there.
It is a tough week to be a Bears fan if they do end up losing. All right, moving on to the late window. It's the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Chargers live from SoFi Stadium in LA. I'm going with the Chargers to bounce back and get the win over the Patriots.
I'm gonna follow suit, and I'll say the Chargers as well. They're 4-2. I think they should be 5-1 though. They did have that one embarrassing week against the Ravens, but that's the only faults the Chargers have. They have a great offense. This bye week, I hope they got ready to take on teams to finish out the season. Great. Patriots is the first stop. Patriots will be shocked.
Yeah, we saw how bad, or we saw how good the Chargers offense was when they played the Browns. I hope their defense doesn't allow like 49 points or whatever, but we'll see what happens. I think it'll be I don't think Mac Jones can keep up. It's just going to be a high scoring game kind of game. All right, Jacksonville Jaguars and the Seattle Seahawks. I believe you've got this one covered.
Yes, I'm not talking about the Jaguars, but the record that the Seahawks have is surprising, 2-5. Granted, Russell Wilson's out, first time in like 10 years. Geno Smith's under the center. So I will have to pick the Jags of all teams.
Well, I would have to disagree in this game. I'll go with the Seahawks. I do like Trevor Lawrence, though. He's a good quarterback. He was a good draft pick for the Jags. I just don't think that the Jaguars will get their first win in America in the last like 2 seasons. The Seahawks, they need to get this game. If they want to have any shot at getting in the playoffs, there's no question that they have to win this game against the Jaguars. Like otherwise their season's over if they're at 2-6 or whatever. I just think that Geno Smith will be able to pull out this one game out of him. All right, moving on to Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Going into the season, we're like, oh, this is gonna be a banger of a game. I don't even know. I mean, Jameis, especially after we saw the Packers lose to the Saints. I mean, yeah, and it was in convincing fashion. We saw Jameis Winston was popping off, and it's also Jameis Winston against his former team, so that's another thing to look out for. But we're going to go with the Patriots here, or not the Patriots, the Buccaneers, guys. This is a long day. It's a long week.
Jared's still stuck on the Tom Brady Patriots. Obviously, I'll follow
Hey,
suit. Buccaneers are too strong to lose.
you know, Tom Brady looks that I'm already back to vintage Tom Brady. Like, you know, yeah. There was a. What do you want to say about the negotiations that took place in the stands last week?
Then the negotiations.
The one with
Uh,
the 600th
oh yeah,
touchdown.
yeah. The 600. There's some uh breach of NFL protocol trading. But anyways,
All right. Let's see. The next game is the Washington football team and the Denver Broncos. I've got Denver, I guess, in this game.
Jared has Denver.
Washington. Washington
Oh.
sucks. No, they don't suck that bad, but I think Denver will bounce back. I like Teddy Bridgewater. Is that who their quarterback is?
Teddy Kuzuglos, yes.
All right. How about you to say a little bit about this game?
I'm gonna pick the football team. I think the second time I've ever picked them ever. They are not that bad. Their defense is amazing, considering who they have. They have probably one of the best defenses in the league, but to compare with their offense, it's a little questionable. I get the first game. Ryan Fitzmagic got injured. They have Trevor Henneke. He's not that bad of a quarterback. He is a very mobile quarterback. Um,
I think his name's like Taylor Heineke.
yeah,
I have no clue how bad my audio quality is. Just so you guys know.
it's not that bad.
All right. Well,
Um,
good to know.
but I can't pick the Broncos. I pick the Broncos and then they lose. So I'm gonna pick Washington.
We've got Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings Sunday Night Football live on NBC. I mean, this is a really good matchup. The Dallas Cowboys are coming into this game really looking as one of the premier teams in the NFC. They've been fairly successful ever since losing the season opener. And the Dallas Cowboys, no one's talking about them, but I think they're a good team, and I think they can beat the Vikings just because Kirk Cousins has struggled in primetime games. I think this is a very even matchup. It'll come down to a fourth quarter drive, but I just don't trust Kirk Cousins to make that game-winning drive in the fourth quarter.
I hate to say it, the Cowboys might go 6-1. The Cowboys are the weakest 5-1 team ever. They are not good. Cowboys have luckily got 5-1 off the skin of their teeth. I am not a big. I think I'm just biased against the Cowboys because I just hate the owner.
Well, and you hate that they've got like a zillion fans, and every other games they always get games on like primetime windows.
Yeah, it's not America's team. I hate when people say it's America's team, but it might be America's team after they beat the Vikings of all teams. But I think also Zimmer might get fired. But a lot of these games will like put a lot of coaches on the hot seat because looking at this, you have Frank Reich, Matt Nagy. I think that's maybe Pete Carroll. Um, and now uh, Mike Zimmer, and we'll get into Pete Carroll here in a little bit after we pick the last game this week.
All right, so we're moving on to Monday Night Football, Giants and Chiefs. What do you got?
I have the Chiefs. They have to bounce back from that abysmal loss against the Titans. Um, I don't know how you lose against the Titans that badly. 27-3. One of the first, I think it's the first regular season game where Mahomes didn't score a touchdown. The only other game for concluding postseason is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was a pretty disappointing game for the Chiefs that we could go against the Titans. You expect the Titans defense to at least give up something. They were locked down. And I think this time, Chiefs are at home. They get the extra day of rest to really prepare for this game. Giants do as well, but, there's not much to prepare for. The Giants had a great week last week, to be honest, but I just don't see that carrying over. I think if the Giants had if this was a Thursday night game and not a Monday night game, I think the Giants would have a better shot, as the Chiefs would be really just trying to figure out something, and maybe the Giants would be able to retain some momentum. But going all the way to Monday, you give Andy Reid that extra day. He's got to put something together, and he could really be on the hot seat if they lose this game. As you've got a talent at quarterback. You've got to have game plans, especially when you're playing competition low like the Giants. You got to be able to win these games. I'm going with the Chiefs in case someone
But like
thought
thinking
otherwise.
about like Andy Reid being on the hot seat, I don't think he would necessarily be on the hot seat because they are a recent Super Bowl champion. They've had many winning seasons. And then comparing it back to Pete Carroll, where he puts the same system in, it doesn't work, and he keeps doing it to get the same results. Um,
Well, the only problem is that you've got a talent like Patrick Mahomes, and you know what they did in Green Bay. They fired
yeah,
McCarthy a couple of years ago. He didn't do anything like too bad. He had a couple like seasons where it wasn't good, and they got him out of there because Aaron Rodgers didn't like him. Now I think
yeah.
the
Aaron
relationship's a
Rodgers
lot
didn't like him.
different in KC.
Mahomes likes Andy
Case
Reid. Andy Reid is not a bad coach. When he went to
I think he's just
the
having a
city,
bad season, and a lot of things have gone against him. It's not. A lot of it's not in his control, and you can't win like 13 games every season. That's just an unrealistic expectation
like
because
for
of the way the draft process works, especially
for example,
where
the Patriots. Like the coach is so good, like Andy Reid. The coach is so good that no matter what, I mean, if they go 0-16 4 times in a row, and it's basically his fault, then I guess that's a different story. But he has to deal with this garbage team with Cam Newton at center last season, where they missed the playoffs. It wasn't Andy. I mean, it wasn't. Uh, what's his face fault? Now look at the
who?
Chiefs. What's his name? Patriots coach
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick. But look at the Chiefs. I mean, they came off losing the Super Bowl. They went all the way to the Super Bowl. Now the Chiefs have a lot of problems defensively and on their offensive line. Um, what they need to do is start like the Chiefs. They're gonna go maybe who knows? The Giants could pull off something 3-5. They have to say, okay, now we're officially gonna rebuild because we might miss the playoffs, and that's what they need to do. Don't fire your coach yet until like let's say they go 2-14, 2-15, and they just absolutely suck.
You have to lose a lot. You have to lose games that you should have won. A lot of times, if you're a coach that goes for it on fourth down and that's what costs you the game, and you do it consistently, well, that's a coaching fault. If it's players that suck, well, that's on the GM and that can't draft because eventually you're going to get good draft picks and you need to capitalize on
Yeah,
those.
but like for example, the Vikings. Mike Zimmer has Kirk Cousins. I know he's not that great of a quarterback, but he's a basically a
He's
franchise quarter.
solid.
He's not a bad quarterback. You
If
have
you give him good talent,
you
he's
have
good.
you
But
have
if you
Justin
give him
Jefferson,
this, if you give him what some guys have,
but
he wouldn't be
you
good.
have Dalvin Cook, best running back in the league. Justin Jefferson, a young good receiver. Adam Thielen. They had Stephon Diggs. They had Kyle Rudolph. They have all these defensive players, and he's a defensive coach, and you're 3-3, and you win barely by letting the team score 1,000,000 points.
All right, so it is going to be a good week. We are into the point in the season where you look at the playoff picture and you're like, well, I didn't expect that. As you saw, the Bengals are currently the number one seed in the AFC, and the number two seed is the Raiders. The Rams are all the way down into five seed in the AFC or the NFC, obviously, because you can only get one uh, high seed because the Cardinals are currently the one seed in the NFC. It's crazy. It's not what you expected. There's a lot of teams up there at the top that just were not on people's list, right? I mean,
Yeah, maybe people
what are
thought
your
that.
reactions to
Oh,
some of the teams you didn't think of doing well this season?
the I said at the beginning of the show the Bengals. I thought they would do average, like maybe a 9-8, 10-7 season, but they're 5-2 already. Or no, like maybe like not even, but like let's say they just barely missed the playoffs. Now they're playoff bound. They're 5-2. They slaughtered the Ravens, and they're ready. They're gonna go 6-2 because I don't think the Jets are gonna win. The Cardinals, I didn't expect them to be undefeated. The Packers, I thought with all their problems that they might have a few losses. They only have one. They're gonna get second here because of COVID issues, so it's not really their fault. Uh, the Steelers, I thought they would rebound from an amazing season they had. Well, 11 games and right away in their season. The Rams, I knew they would be great, but I didn't expect them to be 6-1 if they didn't lose the Cardinals 7-0. Yeah, and a lot of games like Seahawks 2-5. There's a lot of teams out here that I didn't expect to be that great, and then of course the Chiefs 3-4. I didn't expect them to be negative for so long. This is the longest they've been negative in like the last 10 years.
Well, well, well. All right. That'll do it for us here on the NFL Week 8 pregame show. Again, tonight is our game of the week. It's the Green Bay Packers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I made that decision before this week started. So if you're saying, oh, well, the Packers are missing guys, well, sorry, you got to give Thursday Night Football at least one game of the week during the year. So the other game of the week that's really good is Sunday Night Football between the Cowboys and the Vikings. So that'll be a good one as well. But the other windows, there's nothing that really stands out above anything else. Everything else is going to be just about average. All right, that'll do it for us. Peace out.